Welcome to my channel. Don't forget to subscribe and share your comments about the exciting end of the story. Hell's Dominion. Let the story begin. The stars in the night sky twinkled with a serene light, a stark contrast to the mounting tension on Earth. Dr. Elias Wren, a man of slight build with a shock of graying hair, stood on his porch, staring at the heavens. The air was thick with unease. For weeks now, there had been whispers, rumors of strange sightings, unexplained phenomena, and a looming threat that seemed to grow with each passing day. Elias sighed and turned to his wife Clara, who was busy packing a bag inside. "Are you sure we need all this?" he asked, trying to mask his concern with a smile. Clara paused, her eyes reflecting the same worry he felt. "I just want to be prepared, Elias. The news is getting worse every day." Before he could respond, a series of loud booms echoed through the air, followed by unsettling screams from the town square. Elias's heart raced as he rushed to the door, Clara closely behind. They were greeted by a scene of chaos, people running, flames licking the night sky, and strange, monstrous figures towering over the fleeing crowds. "What in God's name?" Elias breathed, disbelief and horror mixing in his voice. A cacophony of roars filled the night as one of the figures, a hulking beast with burning eyes and clawed hands, advanced towards the crowd, each step causing the ground to tremble. Elias grabbed Clara's hand and pulled her away from the scene. They darted through the maze of fleeing townsfolk, desperate to find safety. As they ran, an explosion of fire erupted nearby, sending them sprawling to the ground. Elias helped Clara up, but the flames revealed more grotesque figures emerging from the shadows. These were the Haer'Guel, demonic aliens who had descended upon Earth with a fury unmatched by anything humanity had ever faced. Elias and Clara found temporary refuge in the town library, a place Elias knew well. His heart pounded in his chest, mixing with the adrenaline and the fear coursing through him. "We can't stay here," Clara whispered, clutching his arm. "I know," Elias replied, his mind racing. He glanced around and noticed a trap door beneath a dusty rug that led to the hidden archives below. "Follow me," he said as he pulled the door open and they descended the narrow staircase. The air was musty, and the only light came from a flickering bulb overhead. The basement was filled with old books and scrolls, relics of a forgotten era. Elias's eyes caught on a series of ancient texts that seemed out of place amidst the more modern records. Holding up a thick, leather-bound book, he realized it was identical to a text he'd seen referenced in his studies, a chronicle of encounters with beings eerily similar to these demons. Just then, heavy footsteps echoed above, causing them both to freeze. Clara's grip tightened. "What are they?" "I don't know," Elias whispered back, "but I think we can fight them." Before she could question him further, the trapdoor burst open, and Lieutenant Emma Chase, bruised and battered, came tumbling down. "Thank God," she panted, seeing familiar faces. "Elias, we need to move, now!" Elias nodded, grabbing the book. They emerged from the basement into the chaos once more, now with Emma leading the way. Her military training was evident in the way she navigated the debris and chaos, guiding them to a safer location, a still-standing church on the town's outskirts. Inside the church, Elias saw Dr. Marcus Kwan hunched over a makeshift lab table, surrounded by hastily assembled equipment. "I've been trying to analyze their technology," Marcus explained without looking up. "We're fighting more than just brute force. They have tech that mimics supernatural powers." Elias held up the ancient book. "This might be our answer." Marcus finally looked up, eyes wide with realization. "That looks like it could help. Let's see what we can learn." As the first light of dawn pierced the stained glass windows, the team gathered around the table. Fear still gripped their hearts, but with newfound determination, they began to devise a plan to combat the invaders, knowing they faced the fight of their lives. The church creaked in the morning breeze as Elias spread out the ancient text on the wooden altar. Clara, Emma, and Marcus gathered around him, leaning in to catch a glimpse of the cryptic writing. Emma glanced at Elias, eyes filled with uncertainty. "Are you sure this old book can help us?" Elias nodded slowly, tracing his finger over the faded symbols. "It's a long shot, but it's all we have. These texts, they speak of artifacts and knowledge from a time when humanity last faced these creatures. Marcus adjusted his glasses, scanning the pages with a mix of skepticism and hope. If they really fought these demons before, there must be something in here, a clue or a weapon we can use. Clara, her nerves frayed, but spirit unbroken, brought over a small pot of coffee. Here, everyone, we need to stay alert. They took quick sips, savoring the brief moment of normalcy. Outside, the sounds of battle and the occasional scream reminded them of the urgency. Emma took a deep breath. We need a plan. These things, the Haer'Guel, right? They've got to have a weakness. Elias tapped the page he was reading. This mentions a device, a sort of anti-demon weapon. It's vague, but it sounds like something that can disrupt their technology. Marcus leaned closer, his mind whirring with ideas. If we can build it, we might stand a chance. But we need components and a power source strong enough to disable their tech. Emma straightened, her military mind already assessing their supplies. We've got some salvaged equipment, a few generators. We'll need more, but it's a start. Clara looked at Elias with a mixture of fear and determination. Where do we find these components? Elias furrowed his brow, thinking hard. There's an old military base a few miles from here. It's been abandoned for years, but it might still have what we need. Emma's face lit up with grim resolve. We can make it, but it'll be dangerous. The Haer'Guel will be everywhere. Just then the church doors creaked open, and a young boy no older than 12 staggered in, bloodied and terrified. Please, help, he whispered before collapsing. Clara rushed to his side, her nurturing instincts kicking in. We need water, bandages, she shouted. Emma ran to fetch the supplies while Marcus and Elias carefully lifted the boy into a pew. What happened? Marcus asked gently as he examined the boy's wounds. The boy coughed, his voice weak. They're taking everyone. My family, my friends, the demons. They're not just killing, they're capturing people. Elias's heart sank. Capturing? For what? The boy shook his head, tears streaming down his face. I don't know, but they took my sister. Please, you have to help her. Emma returned with the supplies, and Clara began tending to the boy's wounds. What's your name? She asked softly. Ben, he replied, his voice barely a whisper. Emma exchanged a look with Elias and Marcus. We need to hurry, she said, making up her mind. We'll head to the military base, get what we need, and come back for everyone. Elias nodded, his resolve hardening. We will save them, Ben. We'll save your sister and everyone else, I promise. They quickly gathered their gear, taking only what was necessary. Clara stayed behind to care for Ben and the other refugees starting to trickle into the church, while Elias, Emma, and Marcus prepared to leave. As they stepped out into the war-torn landscape, the magnitude of their task weighed heavily on them. The streets were filled with debris, buildings reduced to rubble, and the haunting whispers of the Haer'Guel's presence. Emma took the lead, her instincts sharp, guiding them through alleyways and back roads to avoid detection. Stay low, stay quiet, she instructed. They moved with purpose, their hope hinging on the knowledge buried in ancient texts and the strength of their collective will. The path ahead was dangerous, but together, they pressed forward, driven by the desperate need to reclaim their world from the clutches of the demonic invaders. The air was heavy with dust as Elias, Emma, and Marcus approached the outskirts of the abandoned military base. It was a sprawling complex, its once formidable walls now crumbling and overgrown with vines. The eerie silence only served to heighten their anxiety. Emma stopped at the entrance, scanning for any signs of movement. Stay sharp, she whispered, holding her weapon ready. We don't know what we'll find in there. Elias nodded, gripping the ancient book tightly. We need those components, he murmured. This is our best chance. They crept inside, the sound of their footsteps muffled by the thick layer of dust. The base was a ghost town, with broken windows and rusted machinery scattered about. As they moved cautiously through the corridors, Marcus couldn't help but feel a sense of foreboding. What exactly are we looking for? Marcus asked, keeping his voice low. Elias flipped through the book, his finger stopping on a detailed sketch. This, he said, showing them a diagram of a strange device. It's called the Vortex Disruptor. According to the text, it can create a field that nullifies their technology. Emma peered at the sketch, her mind racing. We need power cores, magnetic coils, and a containment unit, she listed off. Let's split up and find what we can. Stay in touch. They separated, each venturing into different parts of the base. Elias made his way to what looked like an old lab. Ancient equipment and half-finished experiments littered the room. He moved quickly, scavenging anything that matched the description in the book. Marcus headed towards what appeared to be a storage area. He rummaged through dusty crates, finding some of the components they needed. As he hauled a heavy box out, a noise caught his attention. His heart pounded as he grabbed a makeshift weapon and peeked around the corner. A small figure emerged from the shadows, another survivor, a young girl covered in grime and fear. Marcus relaxed, lowering his weapon. "Hey, it's okay. I'm not going to hurt you," he said gently. The girl, no older than 10, clutched a battered teddy bear. Her eyes were wide with terror. "Are you with the demons?" she asked, her voice trembling. Marcus shook his head, offering a soft smile. "No, we're here to stop them. What's your name?" "Molly," she whispered. "Well, Molly, you're safe with us," Marcus assured her, taking her small hand in his. Meanwhile, Emma was in what seemed like an old maintenance area, prying open rusted lockers and crates. She gathered the magnetic coils they needed and stuffed them into her backpack. As she secured the last coil, her radio crackled with Elias's voice. "Emma, Marcus, I've got the power cores. Meet back at the entrance in 5. "On my way," Emma replied, glancing at Marcus, who appeared with Molly in tow. They regrouped at the base's entrance, their arms full of salvage parts. Elias's eyes softened when he saw Molly. "Another survivor?" he asked. Marcus nodded. "She needs somewhere safe." Emma knelt down to Molly's level. "We'll protect you, I promise." Molly nodded, holding her teddy bear tighter. "Thank you." As they prepared to leave the base, a distant rumble sent a shiver down Elias's spine. "We need to move! Now!" They hurriedly made their way back through the ruined streets, the weight of their mission pressing down on them. The sun was setting by the time they reached the church, casting long shadows on the ground. Inside, Clara had turned the church into a makeshift refuge. Ben and a few others were gathered around, their eyes lighting up at the sight of the returning group. Clara rushed to meet them, relief evident on her face. "Did you find what you needed?" Elias nodded, his exhaustion momentarily forgotten. "Yes, we did. And we found Molly, too." Clara smiled warmly at the girl. "Welcome, Molly. You're safe here." They gathered around the altar, spreading out the components they'd collected. Marcus and Emma began assembling the device while Elias pored over the ancient book, ensuring every detail was right. As they worked late into the night, a renewed sense of hope filled the air. They were closer now, closer to a way to fight back. Yet they all knew the true test lay ahead, and it would demand everything they had. Elias glanced at his makeshift team, their faces illuminated by the flickering candlelight. They were tired, scarred, but united. And with that unity, they knew they could face whatever horrors the Haer'Guel would throw at them. Dawn broke with a fragile light, casting its glow on the walls of the church where Elias, Emma, Marcus, Clara, and the other survivors huddled. The night had been restless, filled with the hum of assembling the vortex disruptor, a mix of hope and fear hanging in the air. As Elias tinkered with the last connections, Marcus wiped sweat from his brow. "We've done it," Marcus said softly, looking at the finished device. It glowed with a faint blue energy, humming gently. Emma checked her weapon, the weight of the upcoming battle settling heavily on her shoulders. "So this is what will give us a fighting chance?" Elias nodded, his eyes serious. "This device will nullify their technology. Without their powers, they're just flesh and bone. We might be able to end this invasion." Clara approached Elias, concern etched into her face. "And if it doesn't work?" Elias reached out, squeezing her hand. "Then we fight with everything we've got. But it will work, Clara. It has to." Emma stood, her posture exuding determination. "We need to draw them out, get them close enough for this to work. We need a plan." Ben, who had been silently observing, finally spoke up, his voice steady despite his fear. "They're taking people to the old factory by the river. That's where they took my sister." Elias exchanged a look with Emma. "Then that's where we go." They moved swiftly, gathering their limited supplies and weapons. Clara stayed behind with the children and elderly, her face a mixture of pride and worry as she watched them leave. The journey to the factory was tense, the streets eerily quiet. The factory itself loomed in the distance, a dark silhouette against the morning sky. Elias held the vortex disruptor close, its gentle hum a comforting reminder of their mission. As they approached the factory, the scene became clearer. Haer'Guel guards patrolled the perimeter, their grotesque forms moving with an unnatural grace. Inside, shadows moved, and the distant cries of captives carried on the wind. Emma surveyed the area, her mind racing. We need a distraction, something to draw them out. Ben, his eyes filled with a determined light, stepped forward. I can do it. I can get them to chase me. Marcus knelt beside him, concern evident. It's too dangerous, Ben. But they took my sister. I have to do something, Ben insisted, his voice unwavering. Elias placed a hand on Ben's shoulder, seeing the resolve in his eyes. All right, but you stay close. Draw them out, then run straight back to us. Ben nodded, determination set in his young face. He took a deep breath, then sprinted towards the factory. He picked up a rock, throwing it at a guard and shouting, "Hey, over here!" The Haer'Guel turned, their fiery eyes locking onto Ben. He kept shouting, taunting them, before turning and running back towards their hiding spot. As expected, a group of Haer'Guel broke formation and chased after him. Emma, Elias, and Marcus quickly moved into position, readying the vortex disruptor. Wait for my signal, Emma instructed, her eyes never leaving the approaching demons. Ben made it back, breathless but safe. The Haer'Guel followed close behind, their steps heavy and menacing. At the perfect moment, Emma shouted, "Now!" Elias activated the disruptor, the device flaring with blue light. A wave of energy burst out, colliding with the Haer'Guel. Their movements faltered, the flames in their eyes flickering out. Their armor shimmered, revealing their true, grotesque alien forms beneath. Emma and Marcus opened fire, their bullets now deadly against the weakened aliens. The Haer'Guel fell, one by one, their cries a mixture of rage and pain. Inside the factory, the energy wave disrupted the Haer'Guel's operations. Captives cried out, sensing a change in their captors. Emma led the charge, bursting through the factory doors and engaging the disoriented demons. The team fought with renewed vigor, their combined efforts pushing the aliens back. Marcus located the captives, guiding them to freedom while Elias and Emma held off the remaining Haer'Guel. The battle was fierce, but the tide had turned. With their technology nullified, the once invincible demons were brought low by human courage and determination. As the last Haer'Guel fell, the factory fell silent. Emma, bloodied and breathless, looked around at the liberated humans. "We did it," she whispered. Elias deactivated the vortex disruptor, the device powering down with a soft hum. "This is just the beginning," he said, looking at the liberated people. "We'll drive them off our planet for good." Among the freed captives, Ben found his sister, embracing her tightly. Tears of relief and joy flowed as families reunited. The victory was bittersweet, scars and loss evident, but hope had been reignited. With the vortex disruptor and their unyielding spirit, humanity would fight, reclaim their world, and forge a future free from fear. The smell of smoke and ash lingered in the air as the sun rose the next morning. The battle at the factory had been a significant victory, but there was no time to celebrate. The remnants of the Haer'Guel forces were still out there, and the survivors needed to regroup and plan their next move. Back at the church, the mood was a mix of relief and urgency. Clara and the others tended to the wounded as best as they could, using limited supplies. Elias, Emma, and Marcus convened, their faces etched with determination and fatigue. "We bought ourselves some time, but they're not done. We need to take out their command center," Emma stated, her voice firm. Elias nodded, his mind racing. Sulgora, their leader. This book mentioned a central hub, a place from which all their technology is controlled. Marcus adjusted his glasses, looking over the ancient text. If we can locate and destroy it, it could disable their operations permanently. Ben, holding his sister's hand, approached the group. "I heard them talking about a place in the mountains to the east. They said it was important." Emma's eyes narrowed with determination. "That's got to be it. We'll need a team, supplies, and a detailed plan." As they began to outline their strategy, Clara joined them, her eyes filled with a steely resolve. "I'll stay here and protect the others. You go and finish this." Elias felt a pang of guilt and pride. "We'll come back, Clara, all of us." They gathered what little gear they had and set off toward the mountains. The trek was grueling, the path littered with obstacles and the threat of ambush ever present. As they trudged onward, the bond between them grew even stronger, forged in the fires of shared struggle and unwavering hope. As they neared the mountain base, the air grew colder, the landscape more rugged. They crouched behind a ridge, peering down at the sprawling Haer'Guel command center carved into the rock. Alien machinery and imposing guards filled the area, a stark contrast to the natural beauty surrounding it. Emma scanned the area with binoculars. Heavy defenses. We'll need to create a diversion to get inside. Marcus's mind worked quickly. If we can plant charges on those power generators, it'll cause a massive disruption. Elias nodded. And while the guards are dealing with that, we can slip inside and find Haer'Guel. Ben, his eyes wide with determination, spoke up. I want to help. Emma smiled gently at him. You've done more than enough, Ben. Stay with Marcus and keep watch. Under the cover of darkness, they moved swiftly. Emma and Elias planted the charges, their nerves stretched tight as they worked silently. Once everything was set, they retreated to a safe distance. Emma pressed the detonator, and a series of explosions rocked the base, sending Haer'Guel forces scrambling. In the ensuing chaos, Emma and Elias slipped inside, navigating through the alien architecture. The base's interior was a maze of corridors and high-tech rooms, pulsating with an eerie red light. Elias's heart raced as they approached a grand chamber at the center of the base. The air inside was thick with malevolence, and on a raised platform stood Haer'Guel, the demon leader, his form towering and his eyes blazing. So, the insects finally find their way to the nest, Haer'Guel hissed, his voice echoing. Emma leveled her weapon, her voice steady. Your reign of terror ends today. Haer'Guel laughed, the sound chilling. You think your primitive technology can stop us? You're mistaken. Elias activated the vortex disruptor, the device's hum growing louder. We aren't just fighting with technology, we're fighting with everything we've got. The device released a pulse of energy, the chamber vibrating with power. Haer'Guel staggered, his fiery aura flickering. Emma and Elias charged forward, their combined strength and the disruptor's power giving them a fighting chance. The battle was fierce, Haer'Guel's strength overwhelming. But with each flicker of the disruptor, his power waned. Emma's tactical precision and Elias's resolve became a beacon of human spirit. As the disruptor's energy waves continued to batter Haer'Guel, he roared in fury, his form beginning to disintegrate. You cannot win, Haer'Guel snarled, his voice breaking. Elias stepped forward, his eyes fearless. Humanity will endure. With a final adjustment, the vortex disruptor unleashed its full power, reducing Haer'Guel to nothing but ashes and dissipating energy. The command center fell silent. Emma and Elias, battered but triumphant, looked at each other and then at the fallen enemy. They'd done it. Outside, the deactivate vortex disruptor's energy spread, causing confusion among the remaining Haer'Guel forces. Without their leader and command structure, their grip weakened. The journey back was filled with a sense of rightness, each step lighter than the last. When they returned to the church, the survivors erupted in cheers, hope rekindled in their hearts. Clara, tears of joy streaking her face, embraced Elias. You did it. Elias held her close, looking around at the people they had saved. We did it, together. The victory against the Haer'Guel was not just through battles fought, but through the unity and indomitable spirit of humanity. Stronger now, they were ready to rebuild their world and face whatever challenges lay ahead, hand in hand.